First story, by Alex Turner. I've always been an avid camper, finding solace in the quiet embrace of nature. Last summer, I decided to embark on a solo camping trip to the dense woods of the Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania. The idea of spending a few days alone with nothing but the rustling leaves and the crackling fire was appealing. Little did I know, it would turn into an experience that still haunts my dreams. I set up camp near the Tionesta Creek, surrounded by towering oaks and the distant echoes of wildlife. The first day was peaceful. I hiked along the trails, took pictures of the breathtaking scenery, and relished the tranquility. As night fell, I sat by the fire, the only company being the dancing shadows on the trees. On the second night, things took an eerie turn. Around midnight, I heard footsteps approaching my campsite. Assuming it was another late-night hiker, I called out a friendly greeting, but there was no response. I strained my ears, and the footsteps stopped. I dismissed it as an animal and went back to my tent, but an uneasy feeling lingered. The following day, I decided to explore deeper into the forest. The trees grew thicker, and the sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy. As I ventured farther, the atmosphere changed. It was subtle at first, but I began to feel like I was being watched. The forest, once a sanctuary, now felt like a malevolent entity. That night, as I lay in my tent, I heard whispers. Soft, indistinct voices just beyond the edge of hearing. I held my breath, trying to make sense of the words, but they remained elusive. Fear crawled up my spine, and I clutched my flashlight like a lifeline. Eventually, the whispers ceased, leaving me in the oppressive silence of the woods. On the fourth day, I discovered something unnerving. Deep in the heart of the forest, I stumbled upon a clearing littered with peculiar symbols carved into the trees. They seemed ancient, like the remnants of some forgotten ritual. My imagination ran wild, contemplating the possibility of stumbling upon a cult's meeting place. That night, paranoia consumed me. Every rustle of leaves, every distant hoot of an owl, sent shivers down my spine. The forest that had once been my refuge now felt like a labyrinth of hidden threats. As dawn approached, I packed up my campsite, abandoning the unsettling clearing. As I emerged from the woods, I glanced back one last time. A figure stood at the edge of the trees, obscured by shadows. It watched me, its features indistinguishable. I didn't wait to find out more. I sprinted back to civilization, haunted by the enigmatic encounter in the heart of the Allegheny National Forest. Second story, by Emily Carter. Last spring, my friends and I decided to embark on a group camping trip to the vast wilderness of Olympic National Park in Washington. The idea of sharing the experience with others brought comfort, but little did we know, our escapade would transform into a nightmare that forever changed our perception of the great outdoors. Our campsite was nestled near the Hoh River, surrounded by towering evergreens and the distant murmur of the flowing water. The first night was filled with laughter, as we gathered around the fire, exchanging stories and toasting marshmallows. But as the embers faded, a disconcerting hush settled over the forest. On the second day, we decided to hike to the majestic Blue Glacier. The trail was challenging, winding through thick vegetation and rocky terrain. As we ascended, the air grew colder, and an eerie mist enveloped the surroundings. The beauty of the glacier was marred by an unsettling feeling that we were not alone. That night, strange noises echoed through the woods. Unidentifiable growls and howls pierced the darkness, sending shivers down our spines. We dismissed it as the calls of distant wildlife, but the unease lingered. The once comforting crackle of the fire now seemed insufficient to ward off the encroaching shadows. As we delved deeper into the wilderness, we stumbled upon an abandoned cabin, hidden among the trees. The windows were shattered, and the door creaked ominously on its rusted hinges. Inside, we found remnants of a life long forgotten, old photographs, decaying furniture, and a journal filled with cryptic entries. It hinted at a past that unfolded in the isolation of the woods. On the fourth day, our group began to unravel. Whispers of paranoia spread like wildfire, fueled by the eerie occurrences. A member of our party claimed to have seen shadowy figures darting between the trees, watching us from the periphery. Tensions rose, and the once cohesive group now teetered on the brink of panic. That night, as we huddled in our tents, a blood-curdling scream shattered the stillness. We rushed outside to find one of our friends missing. Panic set in, and we frantically searched the surrounding area. In the distance, we saw flickering lights, a procession of hooded figures moving through the darkness. Fear gripped us as we realized we were not alone in this remote wilderness. We stumbled upon an ancient ritual site, marked by bizarre symbols etched into the rocks. The missing friend was found, unconscious and disoriented. The hooded figures vanished into the night, leaving us with the chilling realization: the Olympic National Park held secrets that went beyond the beauty of its landscapes. Third Story, by Benjamin Miller. 2 summers ago, I embarked on a solo hiking trip through the rugged terrain of the Carpathian Mountains in Romania. The allure of untamed wilderness and the promise of solitude drew me to this remote location. Little did I know, the journey would unfold into a harrowing experience that defied the boundaries of reason. The trail took me through dense forests and alpine meadows, each step bringing me closer to the peaks that kissed the sky. On the second day, as I ascended a narrow ridge, a sudden fog descended, cloaking the landscape in an impenetrable white shroud. Disoriented and unable to see more than a few feet ahead, I pressed on, relying on my instincts. That night, the fog lingered, and an unsettling silence settled over the mountains. In the stillness, I heard a rhythmic drumming, distant but persistent. It echoed through the valleys, creating an eerie symphony that resonated with the pulse of the wilderness. I couldn't shake the feeling that the mountains themselves were alive with an ancient energy. On the third day, the fog dissipated, revealing a breathtaking panorama of jagged peaks and deep valleys. The beauty, however, was tainted by a disconcerting discovery: a series of makeshift effigies scattered along the trail. Twisted branches and weathered bones intertwined to form grotesque figures, their presence sending a shiver down my spine. As I ventured deeper, the terrain became more treacherous, and the air grew colder. Strange symbols were etched onto the rocks, marking the path like cryptic signposts. The feeling of being watched intensified, and paranoia became my constant companion. That night, as I set up camp near a secluded lake, I heard footsteps approaching from the darkness. A figure emerged, draped in tattered clothing, its face obscured by matted hair. It spoke in hushed tones, a language unknown to me. I couldn't discern its intentions, but the intensity of its gaze sent a chill down my spine. On the fourth day, the trail led me to an ancient ruin, hidden among the craggy peaks. The air resonated with an otherworldly energy, and the ruins seemed to pulse with an ancient power. I stumbled upon a chamber adorned with symbols, a place where the veil between the natural and supernatural blurred. That night, as I camped within the ruins, a spectral presence enveloped me. Shadows danced on the walls, and whispers echoed through the stone corridors. I felt a force beyond comprehension, as if the very essence of the mountains sought to communicate with me. The boundary between reality and the inexplicable blurred, leaving me questioning the nature of the wilderness that held secrets untold. These stories serve as a stark reminder that the beauty of nature can conceal mysteries and terrors beyond imagination. As we venture into the unknown, we must remain vigilant, for the line between reality and the inexplicable is often thinner than we dare to acknowledge. Fourth story, by Olivia Evans. A few years back, my friends and I decided to embark on a cross-country road trip that would culminate in a camping adventure in Joshua Tree National Park, California. The allure of the desert's vastness and the promise of clear night skies fueled our excitement. Little did we know, the isolated beauty of the landscape would be the backdrop for an inexplicable series of events that still haunts my memories. Our campsite was set up near the iconic Joshua trees, their twisted branches casting eerie shadows as the sun dipped below the horizon. The first night was filled with stargazing and laughter, the desert silence broken only by our animated conversations. However, as the night wore on, a distant hum filled the air. At first, we dismissed it as the echo of some distant highway, but the sound persisted, growing louder as the hours passed. On the second day, we decided to explore deeper into the park, venturing into less frequented areas. The landscape transformed into a maze of massive boulders and narrow canyons, casting elongated shadows in the harsh desert sun. It was here that we stumbled upon an abandoned mine, its entrance hidden amidst the rocks. The air inside was thick with dust, and the remnants of rusty mining equipment hinted at a bygone era. That night, as we gathered around the campfire, a peculiar light flickered on the horizon. At first, we attributed it to the play of shadows, but the light danced with an unnatural rhythm. It pulsated, casting an otherworldly glow that illuminated the surrounding Joshua trees in a surreal manner. We stared in silent awe, unable to comprehend the source of the strange phenomenon. As we delved deeper into the desert, the landscape became increasingly disorienting. Rock formations seemed to shift when we weren't looking, and the familiar trail markers appeared distorted. The desert, once a place of clarity, now played tricks on our senses. The distant hum persisted, a constant reminder that we were not alone in this vast expanse. On the fourth day, our group experienced a collective sense of unease. Whispers of strange sightings circulated, glimpses of shadowy figures among the rocks, distant shapes that seemed to move with an otherworldly grace. Paranoia set in, and the once carefree atmosphere grew tense. We questioned whether the desert held secrets beyond our understanding. That night, as we camped beneath the surreal glow of the Joshua trees, a figure emerged from the darkness. Cloaked in tattered robes, the stranger approached our campfire. Their face was obscured, hidden beneath a hood, and they spoke in cryptic riddles. The desert wind carried their words away, leaving us with a sense of impending doom. On the final day, we reluctantly packed up our campsite, the collective weight of the unexplained experiences lingering in the air. As we drove away from Joshua Tree, the hum that had haunted us for days gradually faded, leaving us with unanswered questions and a lingering sense of disquiet. The desert, once a symbol of boundless freedom, now held in our memories as a place where reality and the inexplicable intertwined. Fifth story, by Michael Anderson. Last fall, I embarked on a solo backpacking trip through the dense forests of the Black Forest in Germany. The allure of ancient folklore and the mystique of the sprawling woods drew me to this remote destination. Little did I know, the haunting tales of the Schwarzwald would come to life in a way that defied explanation. The trail led me through towering pine trees and moss-covered rocks, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth. On the second day, as I ventured deeper into the forest, I stumbled upon an abandoned village. The dilapidated cottages, their windows shattered, stood as silent witnesses to a past forgotten by time. Intrigued, I explored the decaying remnants, my footsteps echoing through the empty streets. That night, I set up camp near an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches reaching towards the starlit sky. As I lay in my tent, a strange melody carried through the air. Faint at first, the haunting tune grew louder, as if played by unseen hands on ethereal instruments. The forest seemed alive with spectral music, and an unsettling feeling settled over me. On the third day, I encountered a mysterious figure on the trail. Clad in traditional German attire from a bygone era, the person seemed out of place. Their eyes held a knowing gaze, and they spoke in a dialect that echoed with the cadence of forgotten centuries. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had stepped into a realm where the boundaries of time were blurred. As I ventured deeper into the black forest, the trees seemed to close in, their twisted branches forming intricate patterns against the dimming light. Strange symbols adorned the tree trunks, and an inexplicable energy hummed through the air. The forest, once a source of wonder, now felt like a realm where the supernatural and the mundane converged. That night, as I camped near an ancient stone circle, shadows danced on the periphery of my vision. Whispers echoed through the woods, carrying tales of ancient rituals and spirits that roamed the night. Fear gripped me, but a morbid curiosity kept me rooted to the spot, as if the forest itself demanded acknowledgement of its secrets. On the fourth day, the trail led me to a clearing where a group of hooded figures gathered. They moved with a solemn purpose, and a ritualistic fire burned at the center. I watched from the shadows, torn between fear and fascination. The air vibrated with an otherworldly energy, and the boundaries between the seen and the unseen blurred. That night, as I lay in my tent, a spectral presence surrounded me. Whispers in an ancient tongue filled the air, and the forest seemed to pulse with an otherworldly heartbeat. I felt like a spectator in a timeless ritual, a witness to a dance between the natural and the supernatural. As I emerged from the black forest, the memories of my journey lingered like a haunting refrain. The line between folklore and reality had blurred, leaving me with an unsettling certainty that the ancient woods held secrets that transcended the realm of human understanding. Sixth Story by Jessica Williams. A couple of years ago, my friends and I embarked on a hiking trip in the remote Cairngorms National Park in Scotland. The rugged landscapes and untamed beauty of the Scottish Highlands called to us, promising an adventure like no other. Little did we know, our journey would unfold into a chilling tale that defied the logic of the natural world. Our trail wound through vast moors and mist-covered hills, the air crisp with the scent of heather. On the second day, we stumbled upon an ancient stone circle, its weathered monoliths standing as sentinels against the moody Scottish sky. The atmosphere within the circle felt charged, as if we had stepped into a realm where time moved differently. That night, we camped near the stone circle, the wind carrying echoes of an otherworldly melody. It seemed to originate from the stones themselves, a haunting tune that stirred ancient memories. As we sat around the campfire, the shadows cast by the monoliths danced in a macabre ballet, and an uneasy tension settled over our group. On the third day, we encountered a local shepherd who spoke of old legends. He warned of the Tuathan, ancient spirits said to inhabit the highlands. Skeptical yet intrigued, we pressed on, the tales of the supernatural adding an eerie layer to our journey. The shepherd's eyes held a knowing gleam, as if he had glimpsed the ethereal beings that supposedly roamed the moors. As we ventured deeper into the cairngorms, the weather grew more unpredictable. Dense fog blanketed the landscape, and the distant calls of unseen creatures echoed through the mist. The moors, once expansive and inviting, now seemed to close in around us, their secrets hidden in the swirling fog. That night, strange phenomena manifested. Unexplained lights flickered on the horizon, dancing between the mist-shrouded hills. Whispers, unintelligible and ghostly, carried through the air. We huddled together, our flashlights cutting feeble beams through the thick fog, searching for the source of the mysterious occurrences. On the fourth day, we stumbled upon an ancient ruin nestled in a hidden valley. Moss-covered stones bore the weight of forgotten history, and symbols etched into the rock hinted at a past steeped in mysticism. As we explored the crumbling walls, a sense of being watched washed over us. The air felt charged, as if the very stones held memories of ages long gone. That night, as we camped near the ruins, shadows moved with a life of their own. Figures, ephemeral and elusive, seemed to dance on the periphery of our vision. The air crackled with energy, and the temperature dropped noticeably. Fear clung to us like the mist that enveloped the valley, and sleep eluded us in the presence of the unseen. On the final day, as we emerged from the cairngorms, the air lifted, and the fog dissipated. The moors, once mysterious and foreboding, now stretched before us in all their untamed beauty. Yet, the memories of our journey lingered, a testament to the inexplicable events that unfolded in the heart of the Scottish Highlands. Seventh Story, by David Robinson. A year ago, I set out on a solo backpacking trip in the sprawling Redwood National and State Parks in California. The colossal trees, standing as ancient sentinels, beckoned me into their realm. Little did I know, the majesty of the redwoods would become the backdrop for an unsettling experience that blurred the lines between reality and the inexplicable. The trail led me through towering groves, the sunlight filtering through the thick canopy in ethereal beams. On the second day, I encountered an old ranger's cabin, its weathered exterior hinting at decades of isolation. Inside, faded maps and journals told stories of those who had come before me, seeking solace in the embrace of the towering trees. That night, as I camped beneath the colossal redwoods, a peculiar stillness settled over the forest. The usual sounds of nocturnal life were conspicuously absent, replaced by an eerie silence. The towering trees, once a source of comfort, now seemed to loom overhead like silent witnesses to the unknown. On the third day, I ventured deeper into the park, my senses heightened by the towering giants that surrounded me. As I approached an ancient grove, I felt a strange vibration underfoot. The redwood trees seemed to resonate with a frequency beyond the range of human perception. The air itself hummed with a mysterious energy. As night fell, an otherworldly glow permeated the grove. It pulsed with an ethereal rhythm, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow on the massive trunks. I stood in awe, captivated by the inexplicable display. The redwoods, usually stoic and timeless, now seemed to dance with an ancient energy. That night, as I lay in my tent, a soft chanting echoed through the forest. Unseen voices wove through the towering trees, their cadence both haunting and beautiful. I listened, captivated by the surreal symphony that seemed to transcend the boundaries of the natural world. Fear and wonder coexisted as I contemplated the enigma of the redwoods. On the fourth day, the trail led me to a forgotten grove, hidden away from the well-trodden paths. The trees here were ancient, their bark etched with symbols that defied interpretation. As I explored the grove, the air thickened with an otherworldly presence. Shadows moved among the trees, and I glimpsed fleeting figures that seemed to materialize and dissolve with the play of light. That night, as I camped within the forgotten grove, the boundary between dreams and reality blurred. Visions of spectral figures and ancient rituals unfolded in my mind. The redwoods themselves seemed to whisper secrets, their branches swaying in response to a wind I could not feel. Sleep was elusive, as the grove held me in its otherworldly embrace. As I emerged from the Redwood National and State Parks, the towering trees stood as silent sentinels, their colossal forms holding the secrets of the ancient groves. The beauty of the redwoods was undeniable, but the inexplicable events that unfolded beneath their branches left me with a lingering sense of awe and trepidation. These stories, each unfolding in a different corner of the world, serve as a testament to the mysterious and sometimes chilling nature of our planet. As we explore the far reaches of the wilderness, we must acknowledge that the line between the known and the inexplicable is often thinner than we dare to imagine. Eighth Story by Sarah Mitchell. Not long ago, a group of us decided to embark on a camping trip to the desolate Badlands National Park in South Dakota. The stark beauty of the rugged terrain and the promise of solitude drew us in. Little did we know, the vast emptiness of the Badlands would become the canvas for an unsettling tale that unfolded under the shadow of towering buttes and jagged spires. Our campsite was nestled in a secluded valley, surrounded by the otherworldly formations of the Badlands. On the second night, a distant storm painted the sky with flashes of lightning, revealing the surreal landscape in brief, stark illuminations. As the storm drew closer, we heard peculiar echoes in the rolling thunder, whispers that seemed to emanate from the very rocks themselves. On the third day, we decided to explore a labyrinth of narrow canyons. The high canyon walls blocked out the sun, casting long shadows that seemed to move independently of the shifting light. In the depths of the canyons, we stumbled upon ancient petroglyphs etched into the rock, their meaning lost to time. The air felt charged, and a sense of foreboding settled over us. That night, as we gathered around the campfire, strange markings appeared on the rocks surrounding our site. Symbols we hadn't noticed before seemed to materialize in the flickering firelight. The night was quiet, but an unsettling energy hummed through the air, as if the very land held secrets we were not meant to comprehend. On the fourth day, we ventured to an area known for its otherworldly spires. The rock formations twisted and contorted into surreal shapes, casting long, distorted shadows across the barren landscape. As we explored, the air grew heavy, and the temperature dropped drastically. It felt as though the very essence of the Badlands was watching us, and we couldn't shake the feeling of being observed. That night, beneath a sky devoid of clouds, the stars cast an eerie glow on the twisted spires. As we gazed into the vastness above, a sound like distant chanting reached our ears. The Badlands seemed to come alive with an otherworldly presence, and the line between the natural and supernatural blurred. Fear and fascination mingled as we confronted the unknown beneath the expansive South Dakota sky. As we departed the Badlands, the haunting beauty of the landscape lingered in our memories. The stories etched into the rocks and whispered by the wind reminded us that even in the most desolate places, the inexplicable may unveil itself, leaving a mark on those who dare to venture into the unknown. Ninth Story by Samantha Turner. Several seasons ago, I found myself on a solo backpacking trip through the remote and desolate Arctic National Wildlife Refuge in Alaska. The allure of untouched wilderness and the promise of an adventure in the far reaches of North America drew me in. Little did I know, the harsh beauty of the Arctic landscape would become the stage for an unsettling experience that defied the conventions of reality. The trail led me through vast tundras and icy rivers, where the only companions were the cries of distant birds and the howling wind. On the second day, as I crossed an expansive plain, a shadowy figure appeared on the horizon. Silhouetted against the snowy expanse, it seemed to move with an unnatural grace. As I approached, the figure vanished, leaving no trace of its existence. That night, as I camped near a frozen river, the temperature plummeted, and an eerie fog rolled in. The ice creaked and groaned, creating an unsettling symphony in the darkness. Strange lights danced on the periphery of my vision, mirages that defied explanation. The Arctic, usually silent and still, now seemed to come alive with spectral energy. On the third day, I stumbled upon an abandoned research station. The structures, battered by the unforgiving Arctic conditions, stood as silent reminders of past endeavors. Inside, I found journals detailing inexplicable phenomena, strange lights in the sky, sightings of elusive creatures, and reports of voices carried by the Arctic winds. The desolation of the landscape seemed to amplify the unknown, leaving me with a sense of profound isolation. That night, as the northern lights painted the sky in vibrant hues, I heard a distant singing. The ethereal melody seemed to carry on the wind, a haunting serenade that resonated with the vastness of the Arctic. I ventured into the frozen wilderness, following the disembodied song, but the source remained elusive, as if the very air itself held the haunting notes. On the fourth day, the trail led me to an ancient Inuit burial ground. Carved totems stood sentinel over the frozen landscape, their weathered faces holding the weight of generations past. The air felt thick with history, and a palpable energy lingered among the totems. It was as if the spirits of the Arctic sought to communicate, their presence woven into the fabric of the frozen wilderness. That night, as I camped beneath the ever-present glow of the northern lights, the temperature dropped to an unnerving degree. Shadows moved on the outskirts of my campsite, and whispers in an unknown language carried on the frigid wind. The Arctic, a place of stark beauty, now seemed to harbor ancient secrets that transcended the boundaries of human understanding. 10th Story, by Daniel Olson. Last summer, a group of friends and I embarked on a backpacking trip through the rugged canyons of Zion National Park in Utah. The towering sandstone cliffs and slot canyons promised a thrilling adventure. Little did we know, the grandeur of Zion would become the backdrop for an unsettling experience that defied the laws of nature. Our journey began with a trek through the narrow walls of the Narrows, where the Virgin River carved its way through the sandstone, creating a labyrinth of towering cliffs. On the second day, as we ventured deeper into the canyons, a strange resonance filled the air. It was as if the very rocks were alive, humming with an energy beyond our comprehension. That night, as we camped near a secluded alcove, the canyon walls seemed to amplify every sound. Footsteps echoed with an unnatural clarity, and whispers carried through the air as if the very rock whispered secrets. The familiar sounds of the wilderness took on an uncanny quality, and an unease settled over our group. On the third day, we encountered a lone hiker who spoke of ancient legends surrounding the canyons. He spoke of hidden passages that led to otherworldly realms, and of the spirits that were said to inhabit the rocks. Skeptical yet intrigued, we pressed on, the grandeur of Zion now tinged with an underlying sense of the supernatural. As we ventured deeper into the canyons, the towering cliffs seemed to close in around us. Shadows moved with an uncanny grace, and the rock formations took on shapes that seemed almost sentient. The canyons, once a testament to the power of natural erosion, now seemed like a stage where the boundaries between reality and the unknown blurred. That night, beneath the vast expanse of stars, a strange luminescence emanated from the rock walls. Symbols, ancient and cryptic, appeared as if etched by an unseen hand. Fear and wonder coexisted as we gazed upon the surreal display, the canyon walls themselves seemingly inscribed with an otherworldly language. On the fourth day, we reached a hidden alcove where petroglyphs told a story of a time long past. Figures with elongated limbs and faces obscured by mysterious masks adorned the rock surface. It felt as if the canyon held memories of a time before time, and we stood in silence, contemplating the enigma of the ancient drawings. That night, as we camped beneath the towering cliffs, a strange phenomenon occurred. The very rocks seemed to resonate with an otherworldly energy. The air hummed with a frequency that reached into the core of our beings. We felt as if the canyons themselves were alive, their secrets revealed to those who dared to venture into their depths. As we emerged from Zion National Park, the memories of our journey lingered like the echo of distant whispers. The grandeur of the canyons held more than geological wonders. It harbored mysteries that transcended the limits of human understanding. The line between the natural and the supernatural, it seemed, was as fluid as the ever-changing rock formations of Zion. Thank you for watching whole video. Check this video you see on the screen, it's one of my favorite. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash that like, to support my free and daily content for you. If you enjoyed this video, drop a comment and tell me what story got you chills.